Chapter 3. When the nanny came into Princess Cora's room, she wasn't wearing her glasses. She saw the crocodile in Princess Cora's pink dress and made an angry clucking noise. "Why, you dirty little girl, why did you get dressed when you haven't had your bath?" She stuck her forefinger. "Into the tub you go, scrub-a-dub-dub till I say stop." The crocodile tried to take off his dress, but his claws weren't good at undoing buttons. "Oh, never mind," he said, and took a great leap into the water. He made such a splash that the water poured over the sides of the tub. "What a mess!" cried the nanny, and went to get her mop. She stared at the stick. When she looked at the back of the tub, she saw that the stringy end of the mop was tied to Princess Cora's head, and that Princess Cora had a long green tail. The nanny began to think that something was wrong. She cried, "Why, you're not Princess Cora." "Yes, I am," said the crocodile, and he sang a little song. "I am Princess Cora, yes, sirree. I am her and she is me. I'll bite you if you disagree. I am Princess Cora, he, he, he." The nanny cried, "You nasty thing," and hit him with the mop handle. "Get out of the tub this instant." That's quite the sight, isn't it, my friends? "All right," said the crocodile. He leapt out of the tub, splashing more water onto the floor. There were puddles everywhere, and that gave the crocodile an idea. He emptied a jar of bath oil on top of the puddles. "Come slide with me. Let's make a water slide." He grabbed the nanny around the waist and made her slide. The nanny screamed. "Isn't this fun?" said the crocodile, and he slid some more. Crazy crocodile, sliding like he's got a water slide. When he was tired of it, he sang out, "Bath time, scrubby, scrubby," and he heaved the nanny into the tub. The nanny was frightened. She found it hard to scrub herself because she was wearing all of her clothes. Every now and then she tried to climb out of the tub, but the crocodile always put her back in. Once she tried to slap him, but he shook his claw at her and gave her a little nip on the arm. After that, she stayed where she was. "Now you keep washing," the crocodile winked at her. While the water was growing cold in the tub, Princess Cora was looking for a tree to climb. She stood on one foot and hooked it the other one over a high branch. There she stood, stuck, because she couldn't see how to get the rest of her up to where her foot was. At last she found a tree with a very low branch. She wiggled her bottom against the branch until she was sitting in the tree. She stood up and began to climb. She skinned her elbow and tore her petticoats, but she didn't stop climbing until she was 9 feet off the ground, with the cool green leaves all around her. She sighed with happiness. Chapter 4. While Princess Cora was climbing the tree, the crocodile was climbing the stairs to the tower. The queen was reading and didn't look up to smile at Princess Cora. "Sit down, dear," she said, "and take out your pen." The crocodile took a quill pen and dipped it in the ink. "Write down everything I say," commanded the queen. She read to the crocodile about money and banks. The crocodile yawned loudly, showing his sharp teeth, but the queen didn't notice. The crocodile looked for something to play with. His eyes fell on the ink bottle. He tried balancing it on the end of his snout, but he turned out not to be very good at this, and the ink flowed out, forming a great black ink puddle. The crocodile sighed. He raised his eyes to the ceiling. Above his head was a glass chandelier. It hung from a silver chain. In an instant, the crocodile was up on the table. He gave a mighty leap, grabbed the chandelier, and began to swing back and forth. The queen heard the glass tinkle. She frowned when she saw Princess Cora's dress swinging like a bell above her head. "Princess Cora," she said, "that is most inappropriate. Come down from there this minute." Then she stopped. She had seen the crocodile's feet, which were webbed with 4 sharp toes. "You're not Princess Cora," cried the queen. "Yes, I am," sang the crocodile. "Yes, I am." The queen wasn't fooled, not one bit. She was a great reader, and science books taught her how to tell a crocodile from a little girl. "You're a reptile," she snapped. "What are you doing here?" The crocodile went on swinging. His green tail swept the tabletop, smearing the spilled ink. Sorry, friends, trying to get that just right for you. He sang, "I am Princess Cora's pet. Am I her favorite croc? You bet. Inky, stinky, dry or wet, I am quite inappropriate." The queen couldn't stand this. That is a bad rhyme, she shouted. She picked up a fat book and threw it at the crocodile. Reptile, she yelled. The crocodile caught it and tossed it back. Mammal, he shouted. The queen didn't like being called a mammal. She cried, Guards! And she rushed for the door, but the crocodile took a flying leap and got there before she did. He snapped his teeth at her, and then he chased the queen around the tower until she was dizzy. When she fell down, the crocodile nipped her once on the left ankle and once again on the right ankle. How dare you, said the queen. It's against the law to bite the queen. Crocodiles don't have laws, said the crocodile. The queen grabbed the nearest chair and tried to hit him. That is so inappropriate, said the crocodile. He took the chair from her and bit it. Then he tossed the pieces away and went out, locking the queen inside the tower. While the queen was shouting for guards to unlock the door, Princess Cora was kneeling in the orchard, picking strawberries. The strawberries were redder than rubies and smelled like roses and honey. Princess Cora filled her skirt with them. Then she opened the gate and went into the woods. There was a great pine tree with branches that swept the ground. Princess Cora crept under it and ate strawberries until her teeth were full of tiny seeds. Then she began to build a fort. She took off her petticoats and used them for a roof. She scooped up brown pine needles to make a bed. Once the bed was made, she lay down and sniffed the piney smell of the needles. But she was too happy to sleep. The sound of trickling water reached her ears, and she got up to follow it. When she found a little creek, she took off her shoes and stockings and dipped her feet in the water. It was so cold that her toes stung. She waited for more than an hour, just enjoying the water. The stream led her to a pasture full of cows and buttercups. While she was picking buttercups in her bare feet, Princess Cora stepped on a cow pie. It was the most disgusting thing that had ever happened to her. Princess Cora hopped up and down on one foot and squealed, Ew, ew, ew! Then she stopped and thought, and said proudly, I'm having an adventure, and she wiped her foot on the grass. We'll stop there for now. Oh, nope, you know what? We're going to keep going a little while. We have a little more time. Chapter 5. While Princess Cora was being brave about the cow pie, the crocodile was crawling down the cellar stairs to see the king. He found the king running in place with a weight in each hand. Late again, panted the king. Quick, 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 pick up your rope and skip to 500. I'll count for you. He put down the weights and took up his gold watch. The crocodile sighed. He was beginning to get tired of Princess Cora's family. He picked up the skipping rope, swung it over his head, and hit himself in the ankles. Ow, he said. The king never took his eyes off his watch. Start over, he said. Faster this time. A princess must be quick and strong. The crocodile tried again, but crocodiles are not built for skipping rope, and the rope got stuck under his tail. He lost his temper. I hate skipping rope, and I'm not going to do it anymore. The king was so surprised that he dropped his watch. He went to the crocodile and squatted before him. Princess Cora, he said in the sad voice that Princess Cora hated most, are you being a good little girl? The crocodile threw down the skipping rope. He yelled, I don't want to be a good girl. I want to be a bad crocodile, and that's what I am. Then the crocodile tore off his dress. The king was so shocked that he put his hands over his eyes. Princess Cora, he shouted, what are you thinking? No matter what happens, we do not take off our clothes. Yes, we do, said the crocodile, grinning. He lunged at the king and caught the king's trousers between his teeth. There was the sound of ripping cloth. The king squealed and put his hands over his rear end. Princess Cora, cried the king, behave yourself. But the crocodile just snapped his teeth. The king began to run. The crocodile rushed after him, shouting, faster, faster! And indeed, the king ran very fast. But no man is as fast as a crocodile, and after the 7th lap around the gym, the crocodile lashed his tail, knocking the king down, and began to chew on him. It struck the king that his daughter's teeth were very, very sharp. He saw that his daughter's nose was long and scaly and green. The king cried out, Good heavens, you're not Princess Cora. Am too, said the crocodile, but it sounded more like mm-hmm because he was chewing. It wasn't easy to chew on the king because he had such strong muscles. His rear end was tough like bubble gum. Ouch! Help! Crocodile! Cried the king. He pulled free and dashed toward the steps. The crocodile made a lasso from the skipping rope and threw it over the king's head. Then the crocodile tied up the king, binding him with double knots. The king howled with rage. His rear end was wet with crocodile spit, and he hated being tied up. But it did no good to howl because the gym had once been a prison, and the walls were very, very thick. The crocodile slithered up the stairs, shut the door, and locked it. There, that's done. One in the tub, one in the tower, and one tied up tight and right. What a day! But Princess Cora will be happy. She'll want to give me 100,000 cream puffs. His mouth began to water as he thought of those cream puffs. He slunk out the back door to wait for Princess Cora. At that very moment, Princess Cora was walking by the lily pond. She'd lost her shoes somewhere by the creek, and her dress was covered with strawberry stains. She felt very peaceful. She stopped to admire the water lilies in the pond. It was a large pond, with a splashy fountain. Princess Cora bent over it and washed her hands. She thought of how angry the nanny would be when she saw the stains of her dress. But I'll say I'm sorry, she told herself, and I'll tell them all why I ran away. Perhaps I can make them listen if I am very polite and I tell the truth. When she reached the castle door, she found the crocodile waiting for her. His wig hung beside his left cheek, and he had no dress on. What happened? Asked Princess Cora. They didn't believe I was you, he said, so I bit them. You bit them? Said Princess Cora. I told you not to. I forgot, said the crocodile, but don't worry, they'll get over it. Your nanny shook her finger at me. Oh, I do hate that, said Princess Cora, but you shouldn't have bitten her. She got on my nerves, said the crocodile, so I stuck her in the tub. After that, your mother asked me to read about banks, but I couldn't stand it. She said I was inappropriate. She says that to me too, said Princess Cora, and it's awful. You didn't bite her, did you? I did, said the crocodile, twice. Twice, cried Princess Cora. She has 2 legs, said the crocodile. Then I locked her in the tower. You didn't, said Princess Cora. Well, I did, said the crocodile. And then I told your father I didn't want to jump over that stupid rope, and he asked if I was being a good girl. It was the way he said it. Anyone would have bitten him. But he wasn't even fun to bite. He's the wrong kind of Chewy. Your family is horrible, and I don't know how you put up with them. Princess Cora frowned at him. I never said you could hurt them. I told you not to bite. Now I'll be in trouble, and I've never been in trouble in my whole life. What kind of life is that? Asked the crocodile. Princess Cora shook her finger at him. You're a bad, bad crocodile, she said sternly, and inappropriate, and you've made everything worse. The crocodile burst into tears. He covered his eyes with his front claws. You're mean, he sobbed. Mean, mean, mean. You told me not to eat anybody, and I didn't, even though I'm starving to death. And you said I could have cream puffs, and I haven't had any, not one single cream puff. And now you're mad at me. The crocodile writhed and kicked. He lashed his tail. I wish I was dead, he moaned, and he rolled over and over and over in his grief. Princess Cora's heart melted. She took out her handkerchief to wipe away the crocodile's tears, but he kept his claws over his eyes and wouldn't look at her. Poor Crocky, she said gently. You were never cut out to be a princess. She pouted his snout. Don't cry, poor old crocodilly. You never had your cream puffs. The crocodile peered out from behind his claws. This is what I'm telling you, he said. Quick as a wink, he sat up like a dog, begging. How about it, then? How about some cream puffs? Princess Cora laughed. Oh, come along, she said. I'll feed you, and then I'll try to fix everything. Princess Cora led the crocodile into the kitchen. Cook, she said, will you give this crocodile some cream puffs? The cook was surprised to see the crocodile, but she had just made 6 batches of cream puffs with chocolate on the top. I'll feed him, said the cook, but he mustn't bite me. Did you hear that? Said Princess Cora to the crocodile. No bites. Right-o, said the crocodile. And we'll stop there.